A near 2-hour rain delay foreshadowed a torrential downpour of runs from the Mariners offense. Our thoughts following the win coming up here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, he gets it. Colby, hit it. Hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You're a jerk. Ahoy, sailors. It is Friday, June 23rd, 2023. This is Trident Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners postgame show, brought to you by Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB and they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. And the Mariners, folks, have won by a score of 13-1. We got a lot to cover. More great offense, really nice start from Logan Gilbert. There's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about this offense, though. Season high, 13 runs tonight. 5 Mariners hitters who started tonight finished with a multi-hit game. 3 of them, Teoscar Hernandez, Ty France, and Eugenio Suarez, all each finished with 3 hits on the night. I think it was like 16 or 17 hard hit balls, something crazy like that. They just smoked one of the best teams in baseball, one of the best bullpens in baseball. They already had this game in hand, 6-1, and then they got to the 8th inning and dropped a 7-piece on this Orioles bullpen. It was a hell of a lot of fun and felt like a culmination of what we've kind of seen from this offense since June 6th. We've had these, hiccups here, isolated hiccups here and there. Obviously, the first 2 games in New York, etc. But the Mariners, for now, seem like they're back on the horse, and hopefully they can keep it going. But what'd you see out of this offense tonight, Colby?
It was okay.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
it's pretty decent.
51.5% hard hit rate. Decent, I guess.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have scored 14 runs.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Five Mariners hitters had multiple hard hit balls tonight. Gino had 4 himself. None of them were home runs, which, I mean, sure, because of course, why not? But yeah, obviously the offense was great tonight. Kind of with the exception of the top 2 hitters in the Mariners lineup, Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez, were not very good, although ironically, they did sport the exact same box score. 1 for 5. They each scored a run. They each had an RBI. They each had a walk, and they each struck out 3 times. Not ideal when you consider especially that the rest of the Mariners lineup struck out 4 times combined tonight. So yeah, that's not great. Julio kind of doing this, taking a few steps back the last few days. Jared continues to really struggle. And, he also had an error earlier in this game, which didn't end up costing the Mariners anything. But it was not a good night for the top 2 guys in the lineup. But Ty France went 3 for 4. Teoscar Hernandez went 3 for 5, including another straightaway center field home run, his 2nd in a row. Again, Teoscar kind of back in the AL East, back in the old stomping grounds, but he is really, he's really hitting the ball hard, recently. And really it's been since the middle of May. Teoscar has looked like Teoscar Hernandez. And we talked about this on today's earlier show, which you guys should go listen to. There's fun trade talk in that one. Teoscar's slash line is slowly but surely getting to what it was last year. And remember, what it was last year was like legitimate all-star quality bat.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a somewhat down year for Teoscar. So there is still a lot more to go. But it's just
I've got
funny
the updated slash line, by the way, real quick.
Okay.
260, 304, 456. That's a 112 WRC plus now. Jumping up from 107 entering today.
He's about
again,
10, Oh, God.
Yeah, he was 267, 316, 491 with a 129 WRC plus last year.
Yeah. So, and the power is coming in bunches right now. He also, sorry, I thought he walked, which is always breaking news. We got to make sure when Teoscar walks, we have to mention it.
Right.
But that was not tonight. Cal Raleigh, again, another pretty solid game after the game he had in New York. So hopefully he's starting to turn things around. And again, Eugenio Suarez, just fantastic night. 3 for 5, 3 RBI, only struck out once, 4 hard hit balls. Tom Murphy did his thing, getting a start against a righty, and he absolutely crushed it. Not even, Mount Camden or whatever they call it could contain his home run, which was very impressive.
That's
And
a
hey,
rare feat. That's a rare feat nowadays. Yeah.
It is. And hey, you know what? Colton Wong, 1 for 4 RBI. Like, let's go. 2-game hitting streak for Colton Wong. He's
Reach
back.
base on a misplay by Adam Frazier. Chills.
Counts as a hit. Boom.
Chills.
So yeah. So it was really a fun night. Like you said, every Mariner starter got at least a hit. And again, only 10 strikeouts. 6 of them came from 2 guys, so that's a really good number. You'll take it every time. And they also drew 3 walks, which is nice. 2 home runs, 3 walks, only 10 strikeouts. You're going to win a lot of games with that type of formula. And the Mariners offense, again, it's amazing, right? We talked about this. You just need Teoscar Hernandez to be Teoscar Hernandez. You just need Eugenio Suarez to be Eugenio Suarez. You just need Cal Raleigh to be Cal Raleigh. You just need Julio to be Julio. And if even 2 or 3 of those things happen, this offense could be top 10 in baseball. The lineup is that deep. And unfortunately, kind of the biggest one isn't happening right now. Julio is, in this kind of back and forth thing he's got going on right now. But Gino and Teoscar have been fantastic the last few weeks. Teoscar, it extends even further, and Cal Raleigh has strung together a couple nice games. Hopefully he can keep that going, because Raleigh is a big left-handed power bat that the Mariners would love to have more consistently, show up more consistently than he is, especially with Kelenic struggling as he is.
The most impressive thing about this whole game for me is the fact that they only hit 2 home runs, and those 2 home runs resulted in just 3 of the 13 runs tonight. They were moving the line. They had back to back RBI singles in that 8th inning.
I think 6 straight RBI singles with 2 outs in the
the Mariners posted a video of all of them on Twitter. Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Just a great night for this offense, and doing it in a multitude of ways. And yeah, you mentioned, Gino, right? Like, just so nice to see the hard hit balls finally find some grass for him, find their way over the wall, hopefully a little bit more so in the future here. Because he's been hitting the hell out of the ball the last 2 to 3 weeks, and he's just had such bad luck on that front. And now for him to be rewarded on that front is really nice. So just overall a great night for this Mariners offense. Just how could you not have a ton of fun watching them tonight? And hopefully they keep it going. One more win, and they get that 500 road trip that we said that they needed. So just got to win one of the next 2. And I would consider this road trip, despite how poorly it started, a success overall. So,
yeah. By the way, fun little note. Tom Murphy would have had a second home run in tonight's game in 24 of the 30 ballparks. His was a 9th inning double, 109 off the bat, 406 feet. It would have been a home run in everywhere except for Camden, Fenway, Coors Field, Minute Maid, believe it or not, Kauffman, and PNC Park. Tom Murphy was fantastic tonight. He probably gets the game ball, but I think Gino's right there. And obviously, I'm sure we're about to talk about Logan. He was pretty good tonight as well.
Logan was sensational tonight. Yes, we are going to talk about him. And all right, we're going to talk about him in just a moment. But first, a reminder to this episode of the Locked On. You're something tonight. This episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to fanduel.com/locked-on to join today. From which team goes home happy to the result of the very first pitch, you can bet on everything with FanDuel. So don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to fanduel.com/locked-on to sign up. FanDuel, official partner, Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 13-1 win over the Baltimore Orioles. You can catch the rest of the series on the Mariners hometown broadcast of SiriusXM via the SXM app. And Sailors, you know what's coming up on Monday. It's Mailbag Monday. Get us your questions. Get them to us on Twitter. Get them to us via email, lockedonmariners@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to talk about on Monday's episode. Quit with the eye roll. People love the Sailor thing. Just admit defeat. Just admit it. Just admit that it's over. I won. I have the high ground.
That only really matters if you think you're Obi-Wan, and we both know if anybody's Obi-Wan, it's me.
Speaking of people having the high ground, Logan Gilbert had the high ground all night long against this Baltimore Orioles offense. There we go. Just can you just be supportive for once?
You got this, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Logan Gilbert, 7 innings pitched. It's 2 hits allowed. 1 earned run on a solo home run from Anthony Santander. He retired 14 in a row before that home run from Santander. Just 7 hard hit balls, 5, 6, 7, 8 hard hit balls tonight for Gilbert. Just 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Not really, crazy game on that front, but overall just a really good start from Gilbert. What did you see out of him tonight?
Yeah, started a little concerning. Leadoff walk, all of his misses were to the arm side. He piped a slider that was a foul ball that Kelenic dropped. But yeah, after the first hitter, you're sitting there going, this looks a lot like the Logan Gilbert we've seen the last few times out. Then he gets kind of a lucky double play. The runner moves Caballero, who's covering the bag, straight onto the base to turn an easy double play. And he just kind of rolled from there. In the past, we've seen Gilbert really dominate with just 2 pitches. We've also seen him kind of go with a kitchen sink philosophy that has worked in the past as well. Tonight was much more kitchen sink than anything else. It was, 32% fastball, 29% slider, 22% split, 17% knuckle curve. So a true 4-pitch mix tonight. The fastball, only 1 whiff on that pitch tonight. That's not a great number for him. He's still kind of trying to find that. We saw him miss arm side with that when he did miss, and that's a bit of an issue. But when you look at the splitter, he got 5 whiffs on 11 swings on the splitter. That's a really good number for him. That's 45%. That's exactly what you want lefties to swing at, is that splitter. He was able to throw the fastball for strikes. Obviously, he also, 27 sliders, 7 called strikes. 16 swings. So you can do the math on that. That's a lot of strikes with the slider. It allowed him to get deep in this game. It allowed him to keep his pitch count down, and he just had Baltimore completely tied up, and they had no idea what pitch was coming next. It was like I said, it's a Gilbert that we've seen before. We've seen him deploy this kind of kitchen sink strategy before, but it's very rare. We've only seen it once or twice. It just so happens both times it worked out pretty well. So we'll see, if Logan makes another adjustment off of today's start, or if he likes where he's at right now. The splitter, though, was kind of the pitch of the night. And he just dominated with it. Slider was pretty good. Fastball, not great tonight. Just in terms of command, velocity was actually up almost a mile and a half. So he was throwing hard tonight, but not quite the command you want with the fastball to get the strikeouts. But the slider and the splitter were both above average tonight, and he was, you only walked 1 guy, so that's going to work a lot. And Baltimore is a good lineup, and Gilbert handled him rather easily. So it was an impressive night for Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, they weren't even really able to get any sort of a threat put together against him tonight.
Just 3 hits.
Yeah. And again, just the 1 walk on top of that as well. So just not a lot of action for the Orioles on the base pass tonight, and that's what you have to do to stop them. Because this is a great bullpen for Baltimore, not a great rotation though. You can get to these guys, but you got to be able to fend off this offense with guys like Adley Rutschman and Anthony Santander. It's a tall task, and Gilbert was able to meet that challenge and then some tonight. Bryce Miller going on the bump for the Mariners tomorrow against Dean Kramer, and then on Sunday you got George Kirby, and the Orioles haven't announced a starter for that one. So you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, by the way. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 13-1 win over the Baltimore Orioles. And you can catch the rest of the series on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. So Colby, what are your expectations for the next two games with Miller and Kirby set to go for the Yems?
Yeah, hopefully they can keep their teams in the game, and you can hand it off to a bullpen that, as we know, is pretty darn good, but also pretty good, well rested after the last few nights where they could kind of just, I don't want to say they could throw their mop up guys, but the starters go, and they do their job, and then it's a lot of low stress pitches, let's call them, from the bullpen the last 2 days. So the bullpen's in really good shape. You got to the middle of Baltimore's bullpen today. You didn't get to the back end, which is fine. They weren't going to waste their back end guys, but they had to cover 5 innings tonight, which 6 innings tonight. So that's 5, and then Lester came in and got the last one, but they had to cover 5 innings tonight. That could play over the next few days. So from Kirby and Miller, you want to see them establish the fastball. You want to see them have a secondary pitch. This is a team that we saw tonight. If you can kind of mix it up, if you can pitch counter to the traditional scouting report, you can slow them down. So what you want to see from Kirby and Miller tonight, or the next few days, is you want to see them go. I think it's more important for them to, how do I word this? Like, it's great if they could go 7 innings, but right. I think if you can only go 5 and they're kind of struggling, don't push them for a 6th or a 7th. Your bullpen is in really good shape right now. Trust it. So what I'm looking for from Miller and Kirby is, just go 5 or 6, keep your team in the ball game. Don't have your team chasing for this bullpen. You have to have a lead going into the 6th, 7th inning against this team. And, the Mariners did that. They were up 6-0 after the 4th. And you don't have to worry about the bullpen in that situation. You'd like to see them do it tomorrow, which means the starters, they have to, get off to relatively quick starts. Don't fall behind in the count. Don't fall behind on the scoreboard, and just kind of allow the offense to work. At the very least, 5-6 innings, 2-3 runs, give the offense a shot to score, and hopefully they can do it before the bullpen comes in. So Kirby's really tough to predict right now. Like, he had let's see, was last outing good or bad? It was okay.
Yeah.
So Kirby's kind of been, good, bad, good, bad.
Didn't he give up like 16 hard hit balls or something like that?
Yeah, but he only gave up two earned runs.
Yeah,
It was 3, but it should have been 2.
Right.
So yeah. And Baltimore is the team that ambushed Kirby last year.
Yeah.
If you remember, I think it was in Camden Yards. I think he gave up 4 runs.
It was in Seattle.
He gave up 4 runs.
It was Carlos Santana's first game as a Mariner. One of the
nice.
first games as a Mariner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he had a great outing against Baltimore, and then like a terrible one. But they ambushed him. They were very aggressive on the fastball up early. We know that Kirby likes to work at the top rail with that fastball. I think he's going to have to be at the knees or lower with the fastball early, steal some strikes, go counter to your scouting report. And then I think it's going to be very important for Kirby. There's a lot of switch hitters in this lineup, so it's a little bit tough. But I think the slider is going to be extremely important for Kirby. And for Miller, again, it's the fastball, right? Like, there's no great secret to Bryce Miller. Does he have command of his fastball? If the answer is yes, he has a chance to go deep and win this game for the Mariners. If the answer is no, it's probably going to be pretty ugly, because we still haven't seen consistency out of the breaking stuff, or at least enough of it to think that he can kind of, work his way through the lineup without his good fastball. So we'll see. But the scouting report on Miller is really easy. Just, is the fastball going to be at the letters or higher? Is it just going to tickle the strike zone, or is he going to be in the middle of the plate? So I know you like that word. So yeah, we'll see what it is, but obviously you want these two guys to, you're more worried. You're not so much worried that they need to eat innings. They need to just throw up zeros.
Right.
And
Well,
you can do that because of the last 2 days where the bullpen should be in fantastic shape tomorrow.
Well, you picked up a game on the Astros tonight. You picked up a game on the Angels tonight. Didn't pick up a game on the Rangers. They beat the Yankees tonight. But you're now
picked up a game on the Yankees and Baltimore.
Yeah, and picked up a game on the Blue Jays, who lost to the
Mhm.
A's. But that doesn't count, right? Because games against the A's, they don't count.
Yeah.
The Mariners 7 wins against the A's, they don't count.
You can say the same about the Rockies.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the Rockies were down 3-2 to the Angels late in that game, and they ended up winning 7-4. So common Angels L. So yeah, so you're
Okay.
you're 2.5 back of the Angels.
Mhm.
You're 3 back of the Astros right now. It would be nice to gain a little more ground on those guys before the end of the weekend. So continue to do this. That would be my recommendation to the Seattle Mariners. Score 13 runs again. Why not? Dare to dream.
I'd settle for 6, but 13 would be exceptional.
I'll take anything that results in a win, personally.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep winning. Just win, baby. And hopefully, we'll see how that national series goes and the race series goes. But you could go into that Houston series right before the All-Star break, and you're within striking distance of them in the standings. I feel pretty good about it. So, yeah, let's aim for that as the goal the rest of the way here for the next week and a half.
Ty's still chasing the Astros.
They live in my head rent free. What can I say?
I think Ty would be okay with this season if the Mariners missed the playoffs, but they still finish with more wins than the Astros. He'd be like, you know what?
Yeah.
They went 87 and 75 and they missed the playoffs, but the Astros went 86 and 76. And so that'll keep me warm in the winter.
Hey man, you know, I gotta adapt right now. We don't know what's gonna happen with this season. Gotta adapt expectations and goals, so maybe eventually that becomes the thing for me.
How many games you say they were back at the playoff spot right now?
I don't know.
Because LA had one and you're 2.5 back of them.
Yeah, let's look up old MLB.com here live on the show. This is great radio.
Yeah, we got 8 minutes to play with.
Yeah, the Mariners are 3 back of the Yankees. The Yankees just replaced the Angels for the third wild card spot. So
3 back with like 88 to play.
Yeah.
How many teams out of
3? Well, 4 ahead of them.
Okay. So I got some work to do, but non-zero chance they go into the All-Star break like in a wild card spot, as crazy as that is to say. But hey man.
Yeah. They're a game and a half back of Boston. They're 2.5 back of Toronto, 2.5 back of LA, and then 3 back of New York. So I feel pretty good about them surpassing Boston. Toronto right now is not playing well. Like their pitching is a massive issue, and Matt Chapman is swinging it better the last few days, but he's obviously fallen off a cliff since his amazing April. So I think they're pretty weak, and the Angels are the Angels. So the Angels have started out hot in previous years, and we know how that's gone. So if they make the playoffs, if they're contending, in September, I'll believe it when I see it. But for now, I'm gonna go with what my gut says, and that's that they're gonna be who they are at some point.
Right. Yeah, it's still open. It's still wide open for the Mariners. They have to seize it. Like they're not just going to get it handed to them. And the fact that they played so quite literally the definition of mediocre, like they've been a very mediocre baseball team this year, and yet they're still like they could be in a playoff position with a good week. Like that just speaks to how wide open the American League still is. And the Mariners do need to take advantage of that. And they could start by winning this series in Baltimore, getting home with at least a split of this road trip, which we talked about was going to be critically important. for them to do. I guess the good news is they've avoided absolute disaster. You couldn't go 1-5. You'd really like to not go 2-4. That really makes it difficult. You just go 3-3 or 4-2. You imagine if they sweep this series, the vibes quickly turn around. And all of a sudden, like people are talking about you again as like, oh, you better watch the Mariners. They're making their run. But this team has been so up and down, back and forth. It's tough to trust it until you see it. But it's good on nights like tonight. It's easier to see that possibility than it was after the first 2 games in New York.
Yeah.
So good times.
All I'm gonna say is that 39-37 looks pretty good heading into a series against the Washington Nationals. I'm just gonna put that out there into the ether.
38-38 is also fine, but yes,
that's fine. That's cool. 39-37 is better though.
Sure. If you sweep the series against Baltimore, you can kind of win 2 out of 3 against Washington. You might be able to drop one.
No, you should also.
You should probably sweep them, but you never know.
You should sweep Baltimore. You should sweep Washington, and you should sweep Tampa Bay.
Yes, because if there's one thing we know about the Mariners, they do fantastically against teams with 500 records.
That narrative changes this upcoming
today
or this weekend. Really, this weekend, yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see if we even get to play the next 2. Bad weather reports.
Oh, really? I thought they were saying on the broadcast that it looked pretty good for tomorrow.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. It is an afternoon game, but I did see thunderstorms earlier today, so we'll see.
But, I mean, if it rains again, I can do more rain puns on the show. So I know you love that. That's the face of someone who really enjoys rain puns. Look at that face.
Oh boy.
All right, we're getting too unhinged now. It's time to hop off. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Again, you can catch the rest of this Mariners Orioles series on the Mariners Hometown Broadcast, SiriusXM via the SXM app. Do it if you're not able to watch the game on TV or the games on TV this weekend. All you have to do is go to the SXM app and search Mariners. That's it. Simple as that. All right. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 13-1 win over the Baltimore Orioles. Have yourself a beautiful baseball night, and we'll see you next time. Peace.